After months of reading about the relative ease by which the human mind can be influenced, years of working as a practitioner of influencing human minds, and now as a low-level executive solely focused on sales and marketing, I've decided that we've gone too far, much too far. But my aim is practical. I need no convincing that the current state of the world is literally destroying the average human mind. What I endeavor to do is figure out how to armor my mind from the onslaught. In this instance, I want to answer a question that I initially answered in the comments section of a Substack. I want to discover what it takes to protect and shield my mind from what I call the informational entertainment media mind capturing apparatus. I believe this involves some degree of refusal to foist our minds and by extension our souls into the arena of institutional assault. By institution, I mean large entities such as corporations, political organizations, and even government agencies. I truly struggle to see an area of mass media, entertainment, or technology in which the Western human mind is not under complete siege the moment it makes its entrance. I do not believe this is at all revelatory among those who read the great futurists of the past 50 years. But I have a little more granular detail to explore. I would consider myself to be relatively religious Christian by modern Protestant standards, and the idea that our minds and souls are under an assault by the aforementioned sources is akin to the most fringe of fringe conspiracy theories for most people I go to church with. Unfortunately, at least here in the US, the vast majority of Christian faith traditions fall somewhere between acceptance and outright love for this informational entertainment media mind capturing apparatus. More churches than not are clamoring for ways to further ingrain themselves and hopefully capitalize on its behemoth power. Virtually none are rejecting it. I don't think I need to convince you as to the state of decay in media and journalism today, but I will point out how it relates to my analysis. With the reach of the internet and social media, which I'll cover later, the human mind is under unprecedented pressure of persuasion. If we put ourselves back to the 19th century, with the exception of some elites, points of view on important events for the average person were confined to 2 or 5 leaders around you. The amount of things that seemed important and worth gaining a strong opinion on were very small compared to today. If we move on to the 20th century, in which over the course of 100 years, the average person not only got access to a daily dose of news and events, but could subscribe themselves to the opinions of others on each large event, on a weekly or monthly basis. To me, this is probably an acceptable rate of change that the human brain could healthfully handle, but as we know, it did not stop there. The 20th century accelerated us into the era of cable news, competing national and world news, and a cavalcade of competing ideological powerhouses. World powers and their tendrils of consensus and opinion building started truly assaulting the human brain using all avenues and setting their sights on the new frontier of the internet. This is the time when the news became a living and breathing organ of mass persuasion. At the risk of sounding out there, it was a time when powerful enough entities really had the power to at least attempt to program human thought on a mass scale. I don't think I need to extrapolate this out into the 21st century. We all live in it, and if you're watching this, you're well aware of the ideas of the modern writer Paul Kingsnorth, whether you've read him or not, and his idea called the machine, the enormous, nearly omnipotent digital financial monster that pervades all aspects of life in the year 2026. This is all to say that I firmly believe our minds are currently undergoing something unbelievably extreme, right now. I have no way of diagnosing, and not the time, though I may use this video series to try, to make the enormous case it would take, but it seems self-evident that the results are disastrous. To go back and draw a contrast to the 19th century, in which the average human brain was only inundated from a small amount of sides, with a usually binary set of competing persuasive attempts, to now, where the average Westerner's brain is latched onto and pulled by possibly hundreds of competing forces who care nothing for the well-being of the mind insofar as it does what they want. Only 30 minutes of scrolling a site like Twitter or Instagram has our mind inundated by dozens of corporations, a few political organizations, and maybe even a government agency. I struggle to find the words to get across how extreme I find this change to be. Even a film isn't a film anymore. I was struck by this recently. I travel heavily for work and sometimes indulge in the in-flight entertainment. In a 1-week stretch, I watched the 2023 version of Spider-Man and the classic film Dr. Zhivago. Zhivago was the highest grossing film of 1965. You could almost certainly call it, and its source book, a propaganda source, as it is obviously not friendly to the Bolshevik Revolution. But it is a sweeping love story done well. It's a movie on its own. While it might give you a bad taste for the Reds, that's not the takeaway for most. It sought to be a great movie, and it achieved that. Contrast this with Spider-Man, which I believe is fair to do, as it came in at number 3 on the revenue grossing charts for the year it came out. In fact, the top 5 grossing movies of 2023 were all part of extraordinarily profitable and planned mega franchises, devised by corporations, with the sole point of maximizing revenue well beyond these movies themselves, which serve more as long commercials for these decade-spanning cash cows than a singular work of art. The top 5 grossing films of 2023 were Batman, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Sonic the Hedgehog, and Uncharted. These superheroes and video game movies, all owned by either Disney or Sony, all parts of decades-long franchise projects. All of these films are specifically designed and created to influence the human mind to their own ends. They exist to make us long-term customers, not to entertain and greatly move us. People watched Dr. Zhivago and remembered or thought about it for decades afterward. I can't even remember the plot to the first Avengers movie, because I wasn't meant to. I was only meant to see the second Avengers movie, buy my children the Avengers toys, and subscribe to Disney Plus to see the origin story of the Avenger that I now magically care about. In the Christian faith, we speak of being careful not to listen to certain singular people who may be preaching false teaching or evil. Yet we serve our minds up to an unlimited source of these people or organizations. Many of us would do so every waking hour if it didn't so greatly impact the rest of our lives. It's like deciding to go to a conference to see one person speak for 30 minutes, but agreeing that we'll listen to 100 others insult us for 7 hours in return. Earlier I promised to be practical, and now I will. I plan to get very specific. But for now, the 10,000-foot level approach. The only way to stay sane, let alone live a faithful and fully human life, is to start by removing your mind, and by extension your soul, from the open market of insane influence. I do not believe I can even begin to fully become an aware human until I leave the front lines of the informational entertainment media mind capturing apparatus and stop exposing my mind to the shelling. The flow of this monster is now 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. We can all tap into it anytime we want. But, and I believe this is with every atom of my physical body, the only way to not be programmed by this monster is to not participate. Simply do not watch 98% of new movies or shows. Simply do not read 98% of new fiction. Simply do not partake in social media at all. Or, if you feel you must, connect only with family and close friends. Filter out words ruthlessly, and be hyper-disciplined on the time you allow yourself to use it. What almost all will find is that not cutting the social media cord will leave us exactly where we started. Cutting this cord is the easiest and probably the best solution to all of this. When you do decide to subject your mind, be very purposeful. Purpose is the skeleton key to protecting your mind from the attack. Simple math tells you that I still believe 2% of entertainment content is worth consuming. You'll be shocked how little work it takes to figure out what those things may be. But don't forget, the machine is so strong that anything short of total seclusion and information blackout will allow the cream to rise to the top and to get to you. You do not need to be jacked into it at all times.